door. It's actually so cold.
We're not singers for a reason.
I gotta sing.
All right, let's do it. I think you say the question because you know the question and I don't. All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, this is Laurie.
And this is Bryony.
And today we're going to get back to one of your questions, which was,
what are the benefits of high and low days? So, first of all, let's just discuss what is high and low days and what does that mean in relation to your calories. Essentially, that just means that you're going to have some days where you're going to have a higher calorie intake and a lower calorie intake. So, essentially, some days high, some days are low. That's what it means.
100%. Who is it for? It's definitely not for everyone. For beginners, often when they're new to tracking, it's easier to give them always the same calories because it is already overwhelming enough to know how to track your nutrition and to track it properly. So to have the same amount of calories as a newbie is probably the easiest way. But then when you work towards a specific goal, are you trying to build muscle or are you trying to diet? Then that might be a good thing to actually start to incorporate high days and low days.
Yeah. So one of the benefits being, if you are looking to build a particular muscle group, i.e. let's say glutes, we know you lovely ladies want to grow your glutes, then we would put your higher calorie days on the day in which you're going to have a higher output and where you're going to be using the most energy. So we know leg days are pretty hardcore. I don't know about you, but they're really hard. And so you want to have more carbohydrates to fuel that session so you can really drive output for that particular day, and therefore you're going to be sending a lot more nutrients to that muscle because what gets trained gets fed on that day as well when your calories are there.
Yeah. And I often get that question as well. Why is it harder to train lower body? Why does it feel harder? And the reason for that is basically because your lower body muscles are so much bigger, and that's why when you train legs it feels like hell, but when you train shoulders it's actually alright.
It's not too bad.
And same as what Bryony was saying, if you're trying to build muscle, it's better to have high calorie days for the muscles that you're trying to grow, aka glutes. When you diet, it can also be a good thing to have high calorie days on low body days, just because when you're dieting, the goal is not to build muscle, it's to maintain the muscle mass that you're having.
You don't want to lose your precious muscle.
You don't. And let's say you've been dieting a few times, you know that whenever you diet you tend to lose your butt, which is quite common. Then you want to have your higher days on lower body days just to make sure that you're not losing muscle in your glutes on that day.
Essentially that is like what we want to do. We want to put the food where we want to maintain. You could also put your high days on a rest day. So there's benefits of doing that as well because then you're aiding more recovery. So there are a few different ways to go about it. There's not kind of like one rule and one way fits all as well. And like Laurie said before, sometimes it's actually easier for you just to have flatline baseline calories because it does require so much more pre-planning to some people, and it might just be a little bit too overwhelming, too much to actually factor in, that it's just easier to have the flatline calories. But also if you're dieting as well, I don't know if you found this, but like sometimes when you have like your higher days, you actually are then more hungry. I don't know if you found that you were better when you actually had lower.
That's why it's very important to know what you respond the best to.
I
know that when I diet, I need to have every single day the same amount of food because if I have one high day, it's just gonna make me crave so many things. And high days doesn't mean that it's like so much higher. It's
just a little bit.
It's just a little bit extra. So it would be more the case of having a little bit more food of the food that you usually have instead of having something that you would not have, like for example try to feed a croissant, because that's not gonna make you feel full, literally. It's just gonna make you crave more similar things like this.
So there's actually a way in which we actually would give you a more of a higher day when you are dieting, so you are almost like restoring and replenishing that almost adherence to the diet, and it's almost like a bit of a relief, but it can also backfire in that response as well, and you may find it easier not to have one and you just stay on flatline. So again, there's like multiple ways to go about it, but it doesn't mean it's like one way is better. at the end of the day, as long as your weekly average are where
Yeah.
they're supposed to be, so whether you're in a deficit, whether you're in a build, maintaining, whatever it is, that's the most important thing. And that's what you want to nail.
Yeah. And another case where I would probably give a bit more food to someone for my females, because it is a female topic. I often get girls craving a lot of food around their cycle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
once in a month, when it's like that, I allow my girls to eat around their maintenance. That's obviously if they're dieting. Whenever they're on their cycle and they feel like they crave a lot of things, I say to them, have a bit more food. You can even reach your maintenance. You can even go slightly above your maintenance. And then whenever you're not on your cycle anymore, you can just compensate. So you nail your weekly calories.
I think that's it.
Yeah.